So it's seeming that there is finally push-throughs happening with the shutdown right now. John Thune is on record saying that, yeah, he thinks he's optimistic that the shutdown will end this week. And this is coming from, reports of people saying that the Democrats were holding on to the shutdown until after the Tuesday election so they don't seem weak by pulling out right before the election, thus harming some of the races like the New York mayoral race, Virginia gubernatorial race, New Jersey gubernatorial race, these type of races. And that has also been, I don't want to say debunked, but, people have stated that's not true as well. It's all about the ACA subsidies and, you know, trying to get people insurance, essentially. Well, now there has actually been a somewhat a bipartisan movement towards actually getting funding toward the ACA. And it's kind of interesting, but at the same token, we can't really bank on these kinds of things. It's just good that the ball is actually rolling now. I think after people just being out of work and just not wanting to go to work anymore for the government, there's a huge drain on just society as a whole, including SNAP benefits, including, people not showing up for work, like the air traffic controllers. It just becomes too much of a toll, right? And I know the Democrats are trying to win the shutdown and the Republicans are trying to win the shutdown, right? It doesn't, this type of thing, there's no winners, right? If they could get the full funding for whatever, for the ACA, then I guess they won, but winning always comes with a price, and sometimes that price is kind of high. I hate to say it. Okay, so here we go. There's an article of John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader. He is saying there's optimism when it comes to ending the shutdown. I think what they're saying might hold some weight with, I don't know if they really hold weight with the whole Democrats are going to fold after the election day because they just don't want to pull out before the election day. It will show weakness. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, blah. Doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. One thing that is major that I guess some people are talking about, but not too many. Thune said filibuster will not be busted. That is major because it's going against Trump, openly against Trump, and a lot of Republicans do not want to do that. Fear primarying. I mean, I don't think John Thune is a fear of being primaried, but typically, if Republicans go against Trump, he threatens them with being primaried, and it seems that they don't care because the repercussions, like the reverberance and the actual, let's say, effects that it could have later on in Senate stuff could be major, especially when it comes to budget. Essentially, you kill the filibuster, everything's going through with the simple majority. 51 votes, it's going through. And no one wants to see that when it comes to things like budget. People like to be moderate, but and have some able to do things like shut down, which is not really good, but you want to be able to negotiate when it comes to these things. And if you get rid of the filibuster, no one's going to want to listen to your negotiations, and they're just going to push whatever they want through. And that might backfire. So I'm going to be 100% optimistic and say this is probably the best chance the Democrats have to actually getting some motion. I think this is a win for Democrats, and you kind of have to take it, right? There is some roadblocks that might happen, and I'll talk about them, while we go through the article. But overall, right now, you're not going to hold, like, public favor for that much longer. I think Democrats have to kind of realize that, and you have to have an off-road map because people are very scared right now. People think the government's not going to open up again. You jump on social media right now. There's plenty of people who don't think the government's going to open again. Snap's not going to return. People are afraid. People are scared. And when people are scared or afraid, dangerous things can happen. Let's put it that way. Dangerous things can happen, and we want to avoid that, right? This is all internal conflict. It doesn't need to be like this, even though we know politics and all that is just sucks, you know what I mean? But let's go ahead and go through with this. So essentially, Don Bacon, Jeff Hurd, Tom Suozzi, and Josh Godheimer. I just don't know Tom Suozzi, I guess his name is. I know the other dudes, but they've come together and made a little framework for a possible compromise for the shutdown, right? With ACA, and I'm not gonna get to a lot of this is because a lot of it's huff, right? A lot of it's not a lot of information, but so here's what they're endorsing, though. So what they're endorsing is the 2-year extension of enhanced tax credits, an income limit on who qualifies for them, which would range for 200,000 to 400,000, and I think that's perfectly fine if you're making that much money. I'm not sure if this is like per household or per individual, but if your household or your individual is making around 200 or 400K, I think you should be fine. You should be able to get insurance. Uh, I mean, I know inflation is kind of crazy. I'm kind of thinking like $200,000 if you live in California. It might, I don't know, but $400,000. Okay, this is manageable, right? ACA shouldn't be like a replacement for healthcare. I think, in my opinion, and you know me, I'm like I want single payer healthcare, Medicaid for all, a lot. But ACA is supposed to be a stopgap measure between Medicaid and like actual employer insurance or private insurance brought like elsewhere, right? Essentially, that's what it's for. It's for people who make a little bit too much money. You get kind of stuck, like I could afford my rent finally, but I like don't have insurance, and that sucks. That's a crappy place to be at. That's what the ACA is for. But anyways, I think a big thing Republicans are having a problem with is the enhanced tax credit. Actually, I know what it is. It's a big thing for it. I mean, the bottom line is this, right? I'm going to let you know what the Republicans really think is that they don't want the ACA. ACA is one of their biggest losers, like since 1970, right? This is the biggest L they've taken, and they want to wipe it off the map. That's why Trump is always on a 60-minute interview was like, "We can come up with something better. I'll work with the Democrats, but the ACA needs to go. It's terrible. It's bad. It wastes too much money. Yada yada yada." Is he wrong? No, but I think he's thinking the wrong way. We need to go towards Medicaid for all, which would actually be cheaper than the ACA. You know what I mean? But whatever. He's thinking of some other stuff. Well, he's not really thinking of other stuff. He doesn't have anything to think. He had a concept of a plan. What his concept was a plan was, I'll think about it later when things get out of hand, and things got out of hand, and now he doesn't have a plan, right? Because none of those guys want people to have health care. They want people. They're like some like weird, have some like weird liberal, feudalistic type philosophy, and they don't want to spend money on people's healthcare. People are disposable to a lot of his backers, the people who wrote Project 2025, Darth Vader, those type guys. Yes, so that's why there's no plan. Anyways, so the enhanced tax credits was for the pandemic. During the pandemic, Congress and Biden signed off is enhancing the tax credits because people weren't working, but people needed health care. We didn't know what was going on during that time. So one way to help is just throw money at it, right? Keep throwing money at it. I mean, it solves every problem for the most part. So they throw money at it, and it worked. It helps out a lot of people. It works. People getting health care. People are happy. But Republicans are like, this is too much money. We need to go back to normal levels. Democrats are saying, well, inflation is too big. Inflation is out of hand. We can't go back to normal levels because the value of a dollar is lessened. So if we go back to normal, essentially, we really would be cutting it. Fights ensue. Ta-da! Here we are. Anyways, I think this is fine. The only 2 years is kind of iffy. I think you take 2 years. If you're me, you take 2 years. it's just they try to like time these things within like when it's possible power, if there could be a shutdown. If you take 1 year, right? Let's just suppose they get haggled down to 1 year. You take 1 year, and after that time, maybe they hold out a little bit. Maybe they hold out, and elections come around, right? We're at another shutdown, and it's looking like the Democrats are going to win the House. There is no actual reason why a Republican would want to pass any type of funding bill for ACA if they're not for it, right? Or even if it's looking like, let's just say before, like the CRs do and before elections, and it's looking like the Democrats are going to win 2026 pretty handily. Why would they fund it? It's against their philosophy. Why would they fund it, right? There you go. So we'd have another holdout, and they'd have to. They can make it really, really long. Even if the Democrats won, even the Senate and the House, they could stretch it all the way out to like February. So you don't want none of that. So timing is important. I think what a lot of people wanted to do was have the funding until Trump is out of office, right? But I don't think that. I think you take 2 years and go with it. And there's going to be hurdles, right? Because you're going to have to come up with another budget plan, and depending on how the Senate and the House looks, it could be iffy. But yeah, you got to do it. People are hurting right now. SNAP's hurting. Federal workers are hurting. It's affecting the whole entire economy. People are looking for new jobs. We got to get it done, and like soon. Um, One major thing I did like. They're trying to get rid of the fraud, right? So to appeal to the people who are like saying ACA is a bunch of fraud and stuff, which is fine. It's true, but it's not the people who are doing the fraud. It's the institutions. It's the brokers. These are the people who are doing the fraud. They're getting millions of dollars, probably billions of dollars. So this looks like it's actually like somewhat addressing that, which it should have been addressed. In the bid to appease conservatives who believe that the credits are wasteful, rife for fraud, the bipartisan coalition calls for both parties to identify ways to crack down on agents and brokers who engage in fraudulent practices when enrolling people in Obamacare health plans. The lawmakers also want to ensure that enrollees are notified of the value of the premium tax credits, and the ACA marketplace tracks down ghost beneficiaries who may be improperly enrolled in plans. That's fine with me. I mean, are they really? I would take it a step further. I'd say, like, if you find people doing fraud, I don't care who they are, take legal action. But people who are doing real fraud, not Joe Schmo who works at the bakery and makes too much money for, Medicaid, but the actual brokers. I'm talking people like United, I'm talking about like these Humana, these type of chain doctors' offices. And honestly, they get away with that a lot because a lot of doctors don't take these insurances, man. People always talk about Medicaid and ACA and how great it is to be living off the fat of the land. But, I mean, if you have Medicaid, you're basically seeing like a government-sponsored doctor. Like, doctors don't want to be Medicaid doctors. You don't make a lot of money. Medicaid doesn't pay well. Trust me, I know because I'm kind of like in this business, right? Like my job, like people don't want to be Medicaid doctors. A lot of people, if they are good doctors, they do it out of the kindness of their heart, or they're just forced to doing it, right? Medicaid doesn't really pay on time. It's like you got to go through a lot of hoops to get insurance money through Medicaid. So a lot of people don't want to do it. So you're not getting like the best of coverage whatsoever. So now this isn't have like official support of the caucus. I just wanted to demonstrate this because there is moves going forward. There is people looking forward to, get out of the shutdown. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel. As early as yesterday, it seemed like it was like kind of over. Trump was like, "Nah, we gotta go nuclear." No one wants to go nuclear because it destroys the continuity of the government, honestly. You have one party for 4 years just rushing things through. You have another party another 4 years just rushing things through. We're already having continuity problems with Trump and these terrorists, man, and a lot of allies and trade partners not wanting to do business with us because they're afraid. So, what can I say, man? It's just not good. It's not stable. I would like to move towards single payer healthcare, though, but we got to talk another day. And it's not only these guys, other people, Senate Republicans, House Republicans have been working on some form of compromise, like framework, but I wouldn't care about these people at all. Dan Sullivan, Lisa Murkowski. Lisa Murkowski has no spine. Tommy Tuberville is terrible. He's the one that said, if you're getting Medicaid, go work. Like people who work don't get Medicaid. It's just, it's dumb. He's blaming it on men, right? He's like, I think these young men need to go work. And, this is the same people that follow, right wing stuff and whatever. That's a whole different subject. So yeah, that's about it, man. So there's daylight going on. Look, I'm gonna say this. If we're house is out until November 9th, I believe, and if we don't see anything moving by November 9th, the 21st is another big date to look forward to. And if the 21st doesn't happen, if the shutdown's not over by the 21st, all bets are off. I have no clue when this ends. It could be up to, we're talking 4 or 5 months. It's gonna be bad. At November 21st, we're not out of a shutdown. And that's what it is, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if Republicans are going to go for this because it doesn't seem like the funding, that's the major thing they want. It's $1.5 trillion and they're really crying about it. But, they'll give tax breaks to people and spend money on missiles and send billions of dollars to foreign countries who don't even care about us because they undercut our own markets. But, healthcare is a totally different thing. I know, we shall see, though. Fingers crossed, guys. As much as I do not, me, I am a lefty. I do not like this, but I do not like to see people suffer. I do not like to see people homeless. I do not like to see kids starving. I do want to see an end to this. And if there could be a decent compromise, I'm okay with that. It's just, man, I really want Democrats to get some freaking messaging out there, man. Hopefully give people some new ideas. Let them know it'll be okay. We could do this. And if not, we gotta quit being reactionary. This is the end result: reactionary, being reactionary. That's it. Anyways, like, subscribe. Peace out.